What's going on, guys? It is October 27th, 2023. It's a fun day out there as we have some of the best days we've had since I started this channel. Most importantly, though, it is National American Beer Day. I'm so happy this is on a Friday. There's no better way to celebrate National American Beer Day than spending your Friday night drinking some beer, going out, having fun, and getting ready for the weekend. But if you do go out, be careful where you're going because it is also National Black Cat Day. That's a bad omen for those people out there. You don't ever want to see a black cat crossing your path. It means your bets probably won't hit this weekend. That's all I'm saying. It's also Frankenstein Day, National Breadstick Day, and World Lemur Day. So shout out to my boy Zaboomafoo, one of the greatest lemurs of all time. If you're going to Olive Garden, make sure you get extra breadsticks. And the most important thing about every single Friday, it is the day after Thursday night football. And we had a good one last night as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Buffalo Bills played one of the more exciting games we've had this year in terms of Thursday night football as the Bills were able to get it done by a score of 24-18. The Bills still did not manage to cover. That's four straight weeks of them being unable to cover the spread. However, I thought this was one of their better games they've played over the last 4 weeks, and part of the reason is Josh Allen finally stopped staring down Stephon Diggs and actually got the ball out to multiple people on offense. Um, Gabe Davis had 9 catches for 87 yards and a touchdown. Dalton Kincaid got a lot more involved in the action with 5 catches, 65 yards, and a touchdown. Diggs was still involved, 9 catches, 70 yards, but it felt a lot less forced when he was involved in the offense. Josh Allen, 31 of 40s, which is a great night when you can only have 9 incompletions. 324 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and 1 interception. So technically, only 8 of those balls hit the turf. On the flip side for Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield continued to have a decent year. 25 for 42, 237 yards, 2 touchdowns. Um, I think the most interesting part of this is if you watched the game last night, Tampa had a chance at the end there, and they threw a Hail Mary, and man, Chris Godwin had all the opportunities in the world to go catch that ball, and he just didn't see it, and it just landed right next to him. You got to be a little bit frustrated if you're a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan after that one, knowing that it just kind of went right through your hands, quote unquote. As it was a perfect ball. One of Baker put it right on the money, right where it needed to be to complete a Hail Mary. And I really think that if Godwin would have turned around a second and a half earlier, he would have caught that Hail Mary, and it would have been interesting to see how that game progressed after that moment. Um, but following up on that, we had a tough weekend this weekend in the terms of betting world. Um, it was a 3-2 college football weekend for us to move our overall record to 16-11, and we're still up 8.17 units. However, we just had some misses that really just didn't make us feel overall very good about ourselves. The Tennessee spread was just absolutely painful to miss that one. They had such a great first half against Alabama. It looked like they were on their way to go into a second straight win against the Crimson Tide. However, whatever Nick Saban said in the locker room must have made a huge difference for the boys as they came out a lot better in the second half, absolutely dominated Tennessee, and made it a completely different football game between the two halves. And then Oklahoma just played like dog shit against UCF. I understand it was maybe a letdown spot after a big win against Texas, but UCF is not as talented of a football team as Oklahoma, and it should have never been as close as it was. And Dylan Gabriel's a guy that he's been all right for the most part, but he's one of those quarterbacks that all right isn't good enough to win you a national championship, and I think that's kind of where Oklahoma's sitting at the moment. And then we do feel good about getting the Ohio State spread over Penn State. Ohio State's defense is legitimate. It's one of the better ones in the country, and they made Drew Aller look not very good. Which I'm starting to wonder if he just kind of beat up on some shitty teams early on in the year to make him look like a lot better of a quarterback than he actually is. But oh well on that one. Like I said, we're still happy to have a winning record in college football at 16-11 plus 8.17 units. And unfortunately, on the flip side of that, the NFL has continued to be absolutely putrid for me. I don't know what I got to do to swing the tides on this one. I went 0-4, and it felt like every single game that I was on was just a massive upset. The Rams had no business losing to the Steelers. The Lions had no business playing as poorly against the Ravens as they did. The Bills really shouldn't have lost the Patriots, let alone not cover. And the fact that Commanders' defense wasn't able to do more against the Giants really shocked me, and it was very upset to see how that all played out. However, we will come back at it again for this weekend, ready to redeem ourselves and ready to come back firing on all cylinders. We feel good about college football as always. NFL, we like some of the lines this week. It wasn't as much as a struggle to figure out where we like to stand as it has been in the past. But let's get right into it. Starting off with one of my favorite non-power five schools we have at the moment, and that is Wyoming. They are +5 this week against Boise State. It's a true offense versus defense matchup in which it's going to be the Wyoming defense versus the Boise offense. However, I think the actual interesting matchup in this game is going to see how the Wyoming offense does against the Boise defense, as the Boise defense has been rather poor this year. Uh, and it's going to be interesting to see who wins that overall battle because I do believe the Wyoming defense will be good enough to slow down the Boise offense. Wyoming likes to be real physical, especially in the run game. And when you look at Boise State, they average 190 rushing yards per game. I think that's where we're going to see Boise start to struggle and not be able to maintain the game from there. My next one I have is New Mexico +1.5. They are playing Nevada. I think New Mexico should honestly be the favorite here. I know Nevada got their first win of the year last week. That was a big upset. A lot of people were surprised on that one. But this game is just it just doesn't make sense to me on the spread. You've looked at Nevada throughout the season; they've been, 25-point dogs, 17-point dogs, 18-point dogs, roughly in that region for most of the season. And I don't think one win is good enough for them to suddenly become a favorite, even if they are at home. I don't think they've shown enough throughout the years or throughout the season to warrant that type of respect from the line. And it was only a few weeks ago that the lines makers gave Nevada a little bit more respect, and they got throttled. And it kind of made Vegas want to go back to giving them the higher spreads. It cost them last week with an upset. I think that they are too torn on what to expect out of Nevada. They shouldn't be. This will be an easy New Mexico cover. Another one we have, we'll jump to the Big Ten. We're going to take the Golden Gophers of Minnesota -7 against Michigan State. Michigan State got absolutely creamed last week against Michigan. I don't think Michigan needed to steal any signs to get that one done personally. Um, but Michigan State just is a mess of a program at the moment. Obviously, we all know about the Mel Tucker incident, but last week they somehow managed to put Adolf Hitler on the video board. Um, there just seems to be a lot of, you know, just nothing seems to be clicking up there in East Lansing, and because of that, we're going to take Minnesota. Michigan State, they're just a not very physical team. They're a mess. Everything about them says we suck. And while Minnesota isn't the same level of what we know Michigan to be, they're not precise. They don't have that, you know, great accuracy from a quarterback. They make plenty of mistakes. They're not clean with their penalties and stuff like that. However, they are big and tough and physical, and I think that's going to be enough to get the Spartans to fold. As I just don't think that Michigan State's probably going to win another game for the rest of the year. And then lastly, I'm going to take Tennessee -3.5. Despite a second half choke job against Alabama, Tennessee still averages 31.6 points per game on offense. I just think that's a number Kentucky's not going to be able to match up with. They were able to score decently well at the start of the season when they were playing some lesser of opponents, but the past 2 weeks they only put up 21 against Missouri and 13 against Georgia. Um, I just don't think that that bodes very well for them in this matchup. I'm going to take the Volunteers in a much bounce back game for them as they need to get another win on the board after losing to Alabama. So those will be my picks for college football on the right. Moving on over onto the NFL picks for this week, we're going to start with the Indianapolis Colts +1. They're playing the Saints. I feel like this is a true toss-up pick'em game. Neither team's been able to establish much of a rhythm throughout the season, especially the Colts who have lost Anthony Richardson for the season. On the flip side for the Saints, Derek Carr doesn't seem to have a great communication with Pete Carmichael, the offensive coordinator, or Dennis Allen, the head coach. It seems like people are not on the same page over there in New Orleans. And then because of that, for what feels like it's a pick 'em game, I'm going to take the home team, and that is the Indianapolis Colts. I'll take them +1 here. Last week, the Colts managed to put up 38 points on the league's best defense in Cleveland, and that was still with Gardner Minshew under center there. So I think that that's good enough to show me that they can get it done against this Saints team. Derek Carr struggled to have his ball accuracy working well, oftentimes overthrowing him out of bounds, not being able to get that back shoulder throw down. Um, I'm just not sure how well that Saints offense is going to click, especially if the Colts are able to put up another 38 piece like they were last week. Then also moving up to New York as the Jets take on the Giants. I'm going to take the Jets -3 in this game. The Zach Wilson hate's been real quiet the past couple weeks. You haven't heard as much of it lately as we did to start the season, and that's for a reason, as he's been playing a lot better football. Um, I think the Jets defense can also provide some tough matchups for the Giants O line. This is the second week in a row that I've thought that. I really thought the Commanders' defensive line would be able to do some things against that Giants O line. However, Robert Saleh, the head coach of the Jets, is a lot more defensive minded than Ron Rivera is of the Commanders. So I expect him to take a lot more advantage of that than Riverboat Ron was able to do. And most importantly, the best offensive player, maybe the two best offensive players in this game, belong to the Jets with Brees Hall and Garrett Wilson. I expect a good day for Brees Hall. You'll see him being very involved in the offense, probably 80 some rushing yards, probably 30 or 40 some receiving yards. He's going to be the guy that helps carry the Jets to cover in this -3 spread. And then lastly, we have the Baltimore Ravens -8 against the Arizona Cardinals. It's pretty much official if you ask me. The Arizona Cardinals don't want to win football games. They took the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season, gave it a real feeling out process, see what they had to work with, see if maybe there were some prizes they weren't expecting. And it played out exactly as they really expected it to. Another subpar season coming up. And because of that, I think they're just going to kind of lay down, take advantage of what's coming up in the draft to overall improve this squad. Maybe that be Caleb Williams, maybe that be some offensive line help, maybe that be Marvin Harrison Jr. Not quite sure exactly whether they'll will make it work there, especially with Kyler Murray still in the fold. Uh, but Baltimore laid out their game plan this past week the way they absolutely shit pumped the Detroit Lions on what they need to do to be successful this season. They need to be physical, they need to run the ball, and they need to use that motion to set up passes to Mark Andrews. He had one of his best games of the season this past week. Oftentimes it was because Lamar motioned out of the pocket and they were able to find him to get him in the end zone there. And the Cardinals' offense, this will be the second or third week they'll be without James Conner. And ever since he went down, they haven't been able to sustain drives. They're having a lot of three and outs. They're not really able to go on that 7, 8, up to 12, 13 play drive to go get some scores. And against the Ravens defense, that's really stout, always one of the best defenses in the league year in and year out. I don't see a realm in which the Ravens defense struggles here. I think it's if the Ravens are going to struggle, it will be a lot more on their offense than their defense, but I think they should be able to cover the -8 in this one. So to recap my picks for this week, we have Wyoming +5, New Mexico +1.5, Minnesota -7, Tennessee -3.5, the Colts +1, the Jets -3, and the Ravens -8. So, unfortunately, there is no UFC this week, so we have no picks for you on that. However, there is an interesting boxing match going on for the title of baddest man on the planet between Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou. I'm going to favor Tyson Fury in that one, as most everyone should. MMA guys don't box, and boxers don't do MMA, yet for whatever reason, only one of those sides wants to cross over into the other. Um, I wish that all these MMA guys would stop crossing over until we can convince one boxer to come over our way, just to warrant the discussion of the difference between the sports. Um, Obviously, guys like uh, Nate Diaz, Anderson Silva, Ben Askren. Uh, they're older MMA guys that went over to boxing to fight Jake Paul, and it didn't work out. Um, Francis Ngannou obviously isn't old and washed quite like those guys were, but he's still not a boxer. Um, He's just a hard hitter. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot like Deontay Wilder versus Fury, except a lot worse version of Wilder. However, if this was going to take place in an MMA fight in an octagon, we all know Francis would win this. If he can take down Cyril Gahn and hold him down for 3 rounds, he can take down a Fury and probably choke him out in two or less. So instead, I have some shout outs of the week that I want to throw in here. The first shout out of my week is going to be the Diamondbacks and the Rangers. Shout out to them to making the World Series. Both of those teams have had a 100 loss season in the past 2 years, and they were still managed to rebound and make the World Series. And they've done it with various different approaches. The Diamondbacks did it a lot more with drafting and youth. Obviously, guys like Corbin Carroll. He's been their main stud this postseason run. He's in his first or second year in the league. They're a lot more youthful than the Rangers are because the Rangers were able to get their mojo going through the trade market and through free agency, spending a lot of money to bring in guys like Marcus Semien and Corey Seager. However, they have had some homegrown pieces such as Jonah Heim and Adolis Garcia help them out as well. My next shout out of the week is Islam Makhachev. I said last week that he was going to finish Alexander Volkanovski. I did not expect him to finish him in the first round with a head kick. Now that's exactly what he did. Made quick work of Volkanovski to show why he is probably the toughest fighter in the world to take down pound for pound. Uh, he's a great striker. He's very powerful. He's very quick, and his wrestling is second to none. I just I don't really see who can beat Islam unless you can find a way to catch him with a big shot that will put him out. But um, no one's going to be able to outpoint this guy or outdecision him in a fight. My third shout out of the week is going to be Jim Harbaugh's return to the NFL dreams. A lot of news swirling about Michigan with their spying scandal. Connor Stallions potentially organized it all on his own. Maybe so, maybe not. Going to be really interesting to see what what precedent is laid down here on Michigan to stop maybe any potential future incidents of spying on signs. And I really could see the NCAA looking to make an example out of Michigan as they've already had issues with Harbaugh in the past, and I feel like they might be very willing to want to go lay down the hammer. And I would honestly say I don't think he finishes this season as Michigan's head coach. So I definitely can see him returning to the NFL very soon, which has been discussed the past 2 or 3 years. And then lastly, I want to shout out the Kansas City Chiefs. Sunday, I went to the Kansas City Chiefs Los Angeles Chargers game in Kansas City. I had a blast there. I got to enjoy that game. It was a lot of fun. I took a few videos. I'll try to throw them in here. In just a second. But because of that, I didn't get to watch as much NFL as I would have liked on Sunday, but it was still a great experience to take in. I love going to live sporting events. This is my second time I've been to Arrowhead, but the first time that I can really remember it. I was really young the first time I went. So being able to take in the stadium, the atmosphere, see a guy like Patrick Mahomes have a great day, see a guy like Travis Kelce have a great day. Um, I kind of saw Taylor Swift, not really. I just knew roughly where she was, like in the window thing. I know people that had binoculars were able to like zoom in and find her, but it was just cool to have an atmosphere to be there all around. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in to another video. I hope that you ride my picks this week, and I hope they pay out for you. I'm looking to get the tide turned on the NFL, but my heart absolutely pounds for college football. As we know, we've been dominating that sport all year long. Uh, Leave some comments below of what things you'd like to see on this channel. We're looking to venture off into more content here, get more videos up throughout the week, but I just kind of want to know what you guys are interested in seeing and what's going to earn your click to get a view on there. So comment below what you want to see there. Make sure you subscribe, leave a like, and remember to stay blessed, guys. Enjoy your weekend.